Welcome to Hero Villains. Who do you think would win in the battle Apocalypse versus Shao Kahn, the clash between the God of Destruction and the Tyrant of Outworld? Apocalypse, whose real name is En Sabah Nur, is the first ancient mutant of Marvel, born with the belief that only the strongest are worthy to exist. He possesses the ability to manipulate his body at the molecular level, allowing him to increase his strength and size, regenerate almost instantly, and adapt to any form of attack. Apocalypse also has superhuman intelligence, supreme celestial technology, and the power to amplify both his own strength and that of others, making him the embodiment of ruthless evolution. Shao Kahn is the brutal emperor of Outworld in Mortal Kombat, a warrior forged through countless conquests. He wields overwhelming physical power, dark magic, and a legendary warhammer capable of crushing both enemies and their souls. Shao Kahn does not rely on raw muscle alone, but also employs ruthless tactics, psychological domination, and vast experience in warfare to rule the realms. In this confrontation, Apocalypse represents adaptive power and near absolute immortality, while Shao Kahn brings savage strength combined with destructive sorcery and an unyielding will to dominate. Before we dive deeper into the analysis, please hit the subscribe button and remember to turn on notifications by clicking the bell icon. Thank you all very much. Apocalypse is an entity of terrifying power, although he has never truly attained divine status in the way he constantly portrays himself. He has existed for over 5,000 years and belongs to the earliest generation of ancient mutants on Earth. Although he often claims to be the oldest mutant, the truth is far more complex. Before him existed primordial mutants known as the Externals, also revered as the High Lords. Among them, Selene Gallio, the Black Queen of the Externals, and the Hellfire Club, as well as the Hellfire Trading Company, is believed to have lived for more than 17,000 years. She witnessed the fall of Atlantis and walked through the era of the Roman Empire, demonstrating that mutant history runs far deeper and darker than Apocalypse ever admits. Apocalypse was born in ancient Egypt, within an outlaw tribe called the Sandstormers. This tribe worshipped absolute strength and believed that the strong had the right to rule all. En Sabah Nur was raised with this belief and was nurtured by Baal, a harsh war leader but the only one who ever offered him protection. His unusual appearance, with gray skin and blue markings across his face, caused En Sabah Nur to be hated and abused from a very young age. That rejection forged a cold and unyielding will, turning pain into unbreakable conviction. From the shadows of contempt and violence, he embraced the philosophy that the strong must prevail, not merely to survive, but to impose his own ruthless order upon the world. At that time, Egypt was ruled by Pharaoh Rama-Tut, who proclaimed himself a god king and forced the entire kingdom to kneel before his false authority. Baal revealed a shocking truth to En Sabah Nur. Rama-Tut was not a god, but a time traveler. In fact, the future tyrant, Kang the Conqueror, hiding behind an ancient facade. Following this revelation, Baal and En Sabah Nur discovered a time ship shaped like a sphinx hidden deep within a remote cavern. However, their search quickly turned tragic when the pharaoh's army, led by the general Ozymandias, launched a brutal attack and buried them in darkness. Baal slowly died from hunger and thirst, leaving En Sabah Nur alone with despair and hatred. Thanks to his extraordinary mutant body, he survived and quietly escaped, disguised. En Sabah Nur entered the capital, carrying a lifetime of suppressed rage. When attacked by the guards, the pain of losing his adoptive father became the catalyst that awakened all of his latent power. He transformed, rising into a colossal being, sweeping through the city like a storm of destruction. Rama-Tut fled in terror into the future, leaving his shattered kingdom behind. Seizing the Sphinx ship, En Sabah, Nur unleashed his final vengeance upon Ozymandias, throwing him into the time machine and transforming him into a blind sandstone being with the power of prophecy. That entity was forced to become a chronicler, eternally recording every one of his achievements. Later, En Sabah Nur discovered that the ship was celestial technology, created by an alien race with godlike power. From that moment on, he was no longer merely a survivor, but the seed of a new dynasty. En Sabah Nur and his descendants would rule Egypt for many generations. Then, En Sabah Nur decided to leave that scorching land of sand and step into a wider world. He appeared under the guise of gods, sowing the seeds of war and igniting conflict. To En Sabah Nur, pain and hardship were not sins, but the only crucible capable of forging humanity into something strong enough and worthy of existence. From his absolute belief in the law of survival of the strongest, he gathered devoted followers and created the Four Horsemen and the Dark Riders, living instruments to carry out his iron will. The bloodline of En Sabah Nur continued to flow through many generations. His descendants, who once ruled Egypt, gradually spread across the world, forming a secret society known as the Akaba clan. This organization still exists in the modern era and is led by those most closely related by blood to Apocalypse. Even within the ranks of the X-Men, names such as Chamber and Blink carry his bloodline. Nearly immortal due to his mutant shape-shifting abilities, En Sabah Nur continued his search for ultimate power. In the year 1050 AD, he arrived in northern Mongolia to investigate a massive celestial spacecraft. After defeating the external Sol, the ancient guardian, he claimed the ship and lived within it for many years, isolated and cut off from the world. Then, telepathic messages began to echo. Isan, a celestial, had chosen him as the new guardian of evolution for Earth. From that moment on, En Sabah Nur took on a new name, Apocalypse, a symbol of destruction and irreversible rebirth. From that moment, he was not only granted access to, but also absorbed a portion of the vast knowledge hidden within those living machines. The ship itself reshaped Apocalypse, elevating his power to an entirely new level, granting him armor far beyond all earthly technology and the ability to unlock the genetic potential of those who followed him. His body became a form of living matter, capable of transforming into complex mechanical structures, from jet aircraft forms to energy cannons emerging directly from his hands. With his new power, Apocalypse transcended the boundaries of life and death. He achieved true immortality, able to transfer his consciousness and all of his power into another host body whenever necessary. The ship also granted him the ability to teleport, tearing through space as if it were a thin veil. However, his most terrifying power lay in the ability to restructure his own mind and body, allowing him to create new superpowers at will. In essence, he could possess any power he deemed necessary. Over time, Apocalypse was confirmed as a master of both science and mutation-based mystical abilities. En Sabah Nur was called the 8th Apocalypse of humanity, an entity focused on testing and reshaping humankind. Before him, other species had their own apocalypse figures. Gorsville was the 7th Apocalypse of the Neanderthals, while Kirby Thack held the title of the 6th Apocalypse of the Eternals and Deviants. Each name represented a blood-soaked chapter of history, and En Sabah Nur was simply the next chapter, more brutal and ambitious than all the rest. In reality, he belongs to the top 1% of the most extraordinarily powerful beings in the universe. He can fight characters such as Thor, a god of Asgard, Kang the Conqueror, and the vampire king Dracula. Only Odin, the supreme god of Norse mythology and king of Asgard, can easily pose a true threat to him. I sincerely hope you will subscribe to the channel. It would help us greatly, and you are absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. Now let us talk about Shao Kahn. Shao Kahn is the brutal emperor of Outworld, a living symbol of war and conquest. He rules not only through political authority, but also through terrifying physical strength, a massive blood-soaked hammer, and profound knowledge of forbidden dark magic. Shao Kahn's ambition has never been limited to a single realm. In his eyes, all realms are nothing more than spoils of war waiting to be crushed, including Earthrealm. In the early days, Shao Kahn did not wear his familiar mask. He possessed savage teeth reminiscent of Baraka, as it was once believed that the inhabitants of Outworld all belonged to the same warlike race. With his ambition to invade Earth, Shao Kahn challenged Earthrealm through Mortal Kombat, viewing it as the opening act of a full-scale invasion. However, that ambition was halted when Liu Kang defeated him, forcing Outworld to retreat while his rage remained suppressed. Refusing to accept defeat, Shao Kahn manipulated Shang Tsung into resurrecting Queen Sindel, turning her into a pawn for a new invasion. Disregarding the sacred laws of Mortal Kombat, he brazenly stole billions of souls from Earthrealm to increase his power, forcibly merged the two realms and ordered the execution of the warriors chosen by Raiden. Yet, even after reaching the peak of his power, Shao Kahn fell to Liu Kang once again. Throughout the series, Shao Kahn not only spread terror but also forged a complex web of relationships filled with contradictions between allies and enemies. The sorcerer, Shang Tsung, is often regarded as his most loyal right hand, having served the Emperor of Outworld for more than 1,000 years. With his deep knowledge of souls and ancient magic, Shang Tsung helped create Ermac, an entity fused from countless imprisoned souls, becoming a fearsome instrument of war under Shao Kahn's command. Disappointed in Kitana, the adopted daughter, he considered too weak. Shao Kahn accepted Mileena, a hybrid creature created by Shang Tsung, as his true daughter. Mileena was raised in violence and hatred, perfectly reflecting the Emperor's ruthless nature. Later, Shao Kahn also adopted Scarlet, a girl of peasant origin from Outworld, granted her the power of blood magic, and treated her as his own child, further solidifying a twisted family built on power and fear. In the process of expanding his empire, Shao Kahn often allied with the warlike races of Outworld, such as the Tarkata and the Shokan, to conquer other realms. However, rule through iron and blood always carries consequences. After his first death in the alternate timeline, Outworld descended into civil war, causing once strong alliances to gradually collapse, most notably under the reign of Kotal Kahn. When Shao Kahn temporarily reclaimed the throne, he realized that his former authority was no longer enough to bind others. The Shokan refused to stand with him. Shao Kahn has long been regarded as the implacable enemy of the Thunder God Raiden, the two standing at opposite extremes of order and destruction. As the protector and the invader of the realms, they clashed many times as evenly matched adversaries. Shao Kahn's iron will and overwhelming power allowed him on several occasions to overcome Raiden, turning their rivalry into a symbol of an endless war between brutal power. His ambition to devour Earthrealm inevitably brought a host of new enemies into his path. Liu Kang and Kung Lao became the greatest obstacles on his path of conquest, alongside the special forces who constantly sought to stop his invasion schemes. His alliance with the Cyber, Lin Kuei, and Sector also brought him into conflict with Kuai Liang, the second Sub-Zero, and the Grand Master of the Lin Kuei in another timeline, further expanding the cycle of hatred and resistance. In the present, Shao Kahn is known by the title General Shao, an exceptional military commander of Outworld. His tactical brilliance and command ability have led Outworld to countless victories, solidifying his position as the greatest general of that realm. However, the desire for conquest never sleeps. His rigidity and absolute faith in his own path pushed him into direct conflict with Sindel, the Queen of Outworld. Shao Kahn does not bow to royal authority, but acts according to what he believes is most beneficial for Outworld. After an attempt to seize the throne, Shao Kahn was imprisoned, seemingly bringing his ambitions to an end. Yet, a figure like him is not so easily subdued. Escaping his chains, Shao Kahn secretly gathered an army and reignited the flames of war once more, determined to reclaim Outworld from the benevolent rule of Mileena. To him, peace is merely a delay, while conquest is an inescapable destiny. Shao Kahn is one of the few non-ninja characters whose appearance has remained unchanged over the years. He is easily recognized by his terrifying stature. His height may vary between appearances, but he is always significantly taller than ordinary characters. He almost never appears without wearing his distinctive war helmet, designed with a skull motif and a long crest across the forehead. Like Shang Tsung, he can absorb the souls of others to enhance his own power, often through the use of a soul vortex. His soul absorption ability is so powerful that with a single gesture, he can steal billions of souls from an entire realm. He often uses teleportation portals in combination with this soul-stealing power to reach the souls of a realm without ever setting foot there. The warrior souls he has taken also retain their memories, such as combat knowledge, making him wiser with each soul he imprisons within himself. Apocalypse is the embodiment of ultimate evolution. He can control every molecule within his own body, restructuring them into any form or function at will. His immortality places him beyond conventional concepts of life and death, while his physical strength is overwhelming, even surpassing Hulk in his base state. Transcendent speed, near limitless endurance, telepathic abilities approaching omnipotence, and the power to manipulate celestial energy make Apocalypse resemble a living war machine. He can teleport, fly, control technology, self-heal, continuously amplify his own power, and operate a super intellect supported by celestial technology and armor. Every action he takes is precise, cold, and calculated to absolute efficiency. Shao Kahn enters this confrontation as the embodiment of violence and domination. He possesses superhuman strength, immense durability, a devastating warhammer, and dark blood magic. Shao Kahn's most terrifying power lies in his ability to absorb and manipulate souls, even resurrecting the dead to serve his ambitions. The green energy he wields is pure destruction, brutal and crushing in its force. Shao Kahn is not subtle, but he is a tidal wave that crushes everything in its path. Overall, Apocalypse holds a clear advantage in strength, speed, durability, and intelligence. Shao Kahn's soul manipulation can be dangerous to any opponent, but against an immortal entity like Apocalypse, that advantage becomes fragile. Apocalypse can teleport to evade any attack, analyze his opponent in an instant, and end the battle with a multi-directional burst of celestial energy. When the dust settles, Shao Kahn is nothing more than the memory of a tyrant who dared to challenge something beyond both war and godhood. Apocalypse is an immensely powerful mutant. Compared to the conventional tactics of warlords and sorcerers in Mortal Kombat, Apocalypse typically secures victory through overwhelming endurance. I hope you enjoyed this battle. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. Follow me if you like. That is today's video. Thank you very much.